Things First is sponsored by Gillette, the best a man can get.
Hey, welcome to First Things First. I'm Jenna Wolf. That's the Hall of Famer Chris Carter. That is Nick Wright. What's up, guys?
Good morning, everybody. Cece, wearing the ring today.
I have to. Getting ready to go to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So last show for me from here.
From here. Cece will be with us the rest of the week. It will just be remotely from his adopted home of Minneapolis.
Yes, looking forward to that. Looking forward to a big show, big night in sports last night.
Tons of stories this morning.
And it's apropos to wear the ring because the next time you're in studio, there will be at least announced 5 new Hall of Famers.
Yes,
at least 5 new Hall of Famers.
Number 3, 11 through 15.
There you go.
All right. Let's get right into this. Things have gone from bad to worse to OMG really for the Cleveland Cavaliers. The bad, they lost to the Pistons last night. The worse, they did so by giving up 125 points to them, and they didn't even have Blake Griffin yet. The OMG really? Kevin Love broke his hand and will likely miss 2 months. So possible trades are probably off the table. Other than that, things are going great in Cleveland. Here is LeBron James after the game.
It's unfortunate, for our team, and obviously with everything that's been going on as of late, with our ball club, just trying to figure out, how we're going to play every night, our different lineups, and, getting everybody into the flow. When you have, Kev go out like that, he's going to be out for quite a while, maybe 2 months. It's just tough on us.
If the Cavaliers are, as you still think, going to go, come out of the East, they want a real great meaty story behind them to do it, apparently. How much trouble are the Cavs in, CC?
Well, they're in a lot of trouble because Kevin Love is one of those players, a lot like Chris Bosh, and we didn't see it that often, that they get criticized a lot, but when they're gone, you really, really miss them. And it's a lot of the intangibles. Kevin Love has such a great skill set. Not only is he can spot up from the three-pointer, but he has a nice post game. We know that he's, throughout his career, has been a great rebounder. And when you talk about Cleveland, they're an undersized team. So you talk about what can they afford to lose? They couldn't afford to lose one of their big men. Like, they got a short rotation, they got a short bench as far as guys that they can use, as far as big. So now they're even a smaller team. They're less effective because he's one of their better spot-up shooters. And him and LeBron have great chemistry and great, respect for each other. They've been through a lot of battles together. So now when you look at it and LeBron's on the court, who has he actually been the battles with and won series with when people counted him out? Like, all those things, I think, people underscore. They don't really understand the value of them. So I believe they're going to miss Kevin Love. I know they complained about him. Oh, he had a stomach ache. Where were you? They're going to miss Kevin Love. And you're going to see, and you could see last night, that they couldn't immediately respond to the injury and his absence from the lineup, Nick.
The Cavs in the last 10 days have had 3 separate games that could have been, should have been, or would have been the low point in any season since LeBron came back. Giving up 148 to Oklahoma City was an embarrassment, right? I mean, that was outrageous. Losing to the Spurs' second unit, that was even worse. And then losing to Detroit, before we even get to the Love injury, losing to Detroit last night, a Detroit team that hadn't gotten Blake Griffin yet, but had lost Tobias Harris and Avery Bradley. A Detroit team that, aside from Andre Drummond, was out there with a fringe NBA lineup.
Yes.
No Trevor Ariza.
Yes.
No, so that was the Rockets.
I'm sorry, the Rockets.
No,
right,
Tobias Harris is
yes.
No Tobias Harris, no Avery Bradley.
Right.
You don't have Blake Griffin yet. There was no excuse to lose that basketball game. And then to lose Kevin Love as well, that is injury to insult. So I'm not going to sit here and act like the Cavs right now are fine, that the Cavs right now, this is just a lack of effort. Right now, they are flailing. And to Chris's point, who does LeBron have that he's gone to battles with, that he's won championships with now, that he's going to play with? Tristan, who's been terrible. JR, who's been awful, aside from the one game when they changed the starting lineup. And then D. Wade, who the battles he went through with him were in a different uniform in a different city.
Right.
So for all those reasons, I get why people right now say this is the new low point for the Cleveland Cavaliers. The one small silver lining is this. If they are going to be able to win a championship, which is the goal for any year you have LeBron James on your team, Isaiah Thomas, as we've discussed ad nauseum, has to be a huge part of it. And now there's no more excuses for Isaiah. There's the guy that he had a rift with in Kevin Love is gone for 2 months. There is no other primary scoring option other than LeBron. Isaiah Thomas will get to run the second unit and the first unit at times, right, and we'll get to see if he can work himself into shape and do it. Last night, he did not seem up to the challenge. Last night, he once again didn't look healthy.
Yeah, the plus-minus, Isaiah's minus 25. Yeah. Which is awful.
The worst
right?
on the team.
Worst on the team. So now when you need IT, they need the IT from last year. But you have to realize, too, this is not IT's fault. He didn't want to be in Cleveland. Like, this has been a disaster from the Kyrie demanding the trade. Now, Kyrie's in a good spot, but Cleveland's not in a good spot because they couldn't afford to lose the only real star that they had in Kevin Love outside of LBJ.
Okay, so you mentioned now they're going to have to play a little more small ball. Let's talk more specifically of what this lineup is going to look like now without Kevin Love there.
I think there's a chance Jay Crowder gets his starting spot back. Right? I mean, Jay Crowder, they were going small. There's a chance they leave Tristan where he's at. They will leave Tristan where he's at. And they have LeBron and Jay Crowder as their forwards. The other guy is Chris's guy, Jeff Green.
Yes.
A guy who has
He's definitely going to get more minutes.
Absolutely. Because I don't think you can start Kyle Korver. I don't think they're going to start Dwayne Wade and go extra small. If they were to start Dwayne Wade, it would be in place of J.R. Smith. So, like, they don't have a ton of options. But I also, you mentioned in the lead-in that it's now harder for them to make a trade. It's probably harder for them to trade Kevin Love now, but I don't think they were going to trade Kevin Love to begin with. They're allowed to trade him. As long as the other team knows he has a broken hand, they want to take him on. But they can still make trades. They can still make moves. They just have less flexibility in the front court.
Okay, so I think when I mention that, it's because anyone that's going to probably take on Kevin Love wants to win this year, and he's out for the next 2 months, and I just thought that put them back. But who would you like? Who's available? Who do they have that's a good piece or a good chip that they could get something back for to help them this year, that they'd be willing to part with?
Well, Kevin Love, I believe, also his name will be discussed. Nick said they're not going to trade him, but like I said last week, everyone in Cleveland is open for business except LeBron. Like, everyone on that roster can be traded to try to make him better. Now, Kevin Love, he might be hurt, but if you look at teams like Charlotte, who maybe Kemba Walker, they want trying to get rid of him, Kevin Love would be a big star in a place like that. So I believe there's several other teams, Nick. Last night, Nick and I were on the phone talking and everything, and Nick's, he's done a couple deals in his head and everything.
I tweeted one out involving Charlotte and Kevin Love,
so
actually, yeah.
There are potential moves for them to be made. I think Kevin Love can still be traded, even though we know he has a broken hand. This is non-shooting hand. He's probably going to be out 2 months. And I believe Isaiah Thomas can be traded.
The reason that a team, I don't think they have to be in win-now mode to trade for Kevin Love is because he's got the 3 years left on his deal.
Yes.
So you could be saying, hey, we're not like Charlotte,
an established
for example.
star.
Right, Charlotte saying we're not going to be good enough this year. But if we have Kevin Love under contract for the next few years, then
at a good number.
Right, in the new salary cap year, a good number. But I do want to make this point because I think people are wondering if I'm finally going to join what I think is now the more popular sentiment, that the Cavs are in enough trouble to where they're not the favorites to come out of the East. I watched the Cleveland Cavaliers with LeBron James at this same level he's at now, lose Kevin Love in the first round of a playoff series, have Kyrie Irving injure his knee in the second round of a playoff series, and not be the Kyrie we knew him to be the last few years, and go to the Eastern Conference Finals and sweep a 60-win Hawks team off the power of LeBron James. Kevin Love is going to be back for the playoffs. Isaiah Thomas, I don't know how good he will be. I know he will not be worse than he is now. I still believe the Cavs are the heavy favorites in the East.
Heavy
favorites. I sit here this morning, and I would be shocked if the Cleveland Cavaliers are not in their 4th straight finals. One thing that this injury complicates, though, is I still think they're going to make a move. Assuming Kevin Love is not one of the trade pieces, they are only going to have at most 15, at the least 4 or 5 games at the end of the regular season for Love to play with whomever they acquire at the deadline. And we've seen throughout this year the stops and starts.
Yes.
That getting rhythm with new players is a real thing in this league.
Yes.
We're going to have Chris Broussard on a little bit later to talk about this as well. But
Jenna
coming
and I
up,
have plenty of concern about the Cavs. So even though Nick
enough
don't have
concern
to, yes,
for us,
yes.
anyone else in the studio,
Yes.
that guy in the back, and then everyone down 6th Avenue. We're concerned literally for
Yes.
everyone, not that guy.
Good.
Coming up, a big NFL trade to talk about and how it impacts more than just the two teams directly involved. If you're just waking up, you want to see this. It's next on First Things First.
That's a good day. That's a good day for you, though.